Hey guys, welcome to the Rashcast podcast. This is the second episode I've done, and there's a huge difference between the first episode that I did, which is more of like an introduction than anything else, and then this next episode, which is like a few weeks later, maybe like a month later. Um, I've been more or less sick for the last couple of weeks, and kind of unsure how to go about continuing or doing the podcast. So I guess for the time being, I'm going to make kind of like short podcasts. And, if it gains enough interest, maybe make them longer. But for the time being, just something short. Just something so I can get it out. And not just to get it out, but like, I guess practice more than anything else. Um, I do have kind of like I guess it's hard for me to kind of just like start something, kind of like just start talking about something or whatever. I usually tend to kind of like, I have an idea about what I want to do or how to go about it, but then I don't actually like start it. I don't actually continue with it, or because either I get like too shy, too embarrassed, or too kind of like, no, what if people don't like it? Then it wouldn't be like, what's the point of doing it? But at the same time, if I start doing it, even if it's just short, maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or something like that, something that could be the start of something. Maybe little by little, I would gain the confidence, the courage to like to continue to make more, to make more episodes. And I mean, if in the end no one's listening or no one's really like, well, I guess I would be listening, not watching, since I'm not actually doing any videos with the podcast. So yeah, I guess people could listen in, and that'd be pretty dope. That'd be pretty cool. So, anyways, without further ado, this is episode 2 of the Rashcast again, as I said. In this episode, well, I say episode, but in this part 2, I guess, I was thinking about what I could talk about, because I don't want to go on a rant about something and then just kind of like sound like I'm just saying incoherent things for like a really long ass time, like without actually making sense, and just kind of like going off topic, because I do kind of tend to just kind of like go off topic from time to time. So I thought of like, something short, something that I can keep it like pretty simple. Like I said, maybe something that's just 5 minutes. Already like with 3 minutes though. Shouldn't be too longer in this one. But let's see. I had thought up of an idea for this one. I came up with the idea because one day, like about 2-3 weeks ago, before I got sick, while I was at work, my coworker had basically been going in and out of our vehicle, the company's vehicle, doing things that he needed to do, interacting with people, whatever he was doing. And at that time, his phone didn't have any charge. He had forgotten the car charger, or the charger, for vehicles and stuff like that. And he had forgotten to charge his phone, so it was basically dead. But every time he would come back, he kept kind of looking around, and he'd be like, I could have sworn I heard my phone. I could have sworn I heard it go off, and I heard the ringing. And while I was staying in the vehicle while he was going out, I mean, I was there next to his phone, and I never heard anything. I never heard it ringing, it going off, and it was kind of like, it's not something that's really, I guess, too crazy or too far out there or anything like that, of course, but it got me thinking, what was he hearing? What ringing was he hearing? Because this was in different places. This wasn't like in the same area or the same building we were at. We had gone to different buildings to take care of different things, and like in different parts of the city, different parts of town. And he swore he kept hearing it. And I got like kind of like flashbacks almost almost like a nostalgic flashback, but I don't know if I'd call it nostalgia, just more something that just came to me all of a sudden. And I remember as a kid, sometimes I would go out into the neighborhood, of course, to like, well, either out in my front yard to play or with the neighborhood kids to play. And every once in a while, I would hear a phone ringing, and it's like those old school phone rings, you know, the not the more current ones for like that the phones or the cell phones. I'm talking about the old school phone sound. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Almost like the payphones sometimes that you hear like in movies or like in older movies from like 70s, 80s and stuff like that. Like kind of like that bell looking one, the ring, ring, but like, you know, it sounds louder than that. And it happened more than once, and it happened more than a few times where I would be outside and I would just randomly hear it. And one of the first things that came to mind was like, that's probably one of the neighbors' phones. One of the neighbors next door, one of the neighbors in front of me or to the sides or something probably has a window open, or probably has a door open, or more than likely probably has like a phone set up on a phone stand, which is something that people used to have, phone stands, right next to the window, or like, you know, somewhere where noise could travel, because those things could get pretty loud. But I seem to remember a few instances, different instances, of course, where it wasn't just outside my house. I would be like playing in a different neighborhood, maybe. Would be playing, like sometimes I would go to where my dad's like workplace was, which was in a different town and a different city altogether. And sometimes I would hear it too, and it would always sounded the same bell like, I guess, phone ringing. And there was a part of me that was always creeped out by it too. Like I would hear it, and sometimes I would ask people nearby me like if they heard it too, or if they could hear the ringing, and they'd be like, "What are you talking about? There's no phone ringing. There's no noise that they hear." And usually that's when it would like die out. You know, it would like, I could hear it kind of like almost like if it was maybe 15, 20 feet away. Not like it was right next to me, of course, but close enough where like I could hear it. And then it just wouldn't be there anymore, or I wouldn't hear it anymore. And that always freaked me out. Like, and it happened more as a kid. It happened to me more as a kid. Maybe I'm just thinking about it too much. Or maybe it really was just the neighborhoods, or, you know, at that time in the 90s when more or less everyone had almost like the same, not the same type of phone, but I'm guessing they all had the same sound for their phones or something, or like the landlines. I don't know. It got me kind of like thinking, like maybe there is something like that out there, and I'm not the only one that heard those phones ringing. Because I mean, like I said, like I would ask people that were next to me or near me if they could hear it, and they wouldn't. Like, maybe it was all in my head, if anything, but or maybe my ears were sensitive enough that I could pick up the phone ringing from somewhere else. But like, it always kind of seemed kind of crazy to me, kind of, I don't know, like out there. And you know, it was mostly during my childhood. Yeah, growing up and during a teen and during my adult life, I haven't really heard anything like that, you know? I've never heard anything again going outside or anything. But, you know, I just thought, what if it's like something that only happens to kids? What if it's only something that happens to like certain kids or something like that where they hear it and no one else can hear it? Or maybe their hearing is just that good where they can actually hear something like that. What, isn't that something? Wouldn't that be crazy? And then I thought about it. Yeah, even if it was just something like that, even if it was just my imagination, even if by some chance I'm just misremembering, if there isn't one already, I think that would be pretty cool. Kind of like a cool story to make. Maybe like a YouTube video or something like that, like a live action, thing or something live where it's filming something about the phone ringing. Only certain kids or like only certain people hear it, and some like it almost sounds like a creepypasta type thing. I mean, what would happen if you followed the noise, got to where the phone was, and if there was a phone, answered it? Wouldn't that be something? But yeah, anyways, if I had the ingenuity to make a video like that, and if I knew how to like make, edit, shoot, all that stuff with videos, pretty sure I'd try doing something like that. But I honestly don't have any experience, and I wouldn't even know where to start. But that'd be pretty cool to do. Maybe for the future. Maybe one day in the future, I could think of something like that, turn it into something. And I mean, that'd be pretty cool because I could go back to this episode and be like, yeah, this is where I first started talking about it, and this is where I got the inspiration and everything from, and yada yada yada. So yeah. Like I said, I didn't want to make these too long, so this is something that's just short, something that wouldn't take too long for, I guess, someone to listen to, someone to hear, and they can just kind of like hear it in the background or just whatever. Maybe I'll try to do these more often, daily, or maybe like once or twice a week, or if there's enough. If there's enough interest, maybe like more often or something like that. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for joining me on the second episode. If this sounds interesting, or if maybe any of you have any recollections of your own, or any, I also heard the ringing of the phones when I was younger, and this happened to me, or it turns out it was this, or never found out what it was. Go ahead and feel free to comment or let me know. Let me know your story. Let me know what happened. Let me know if I'm not the only one that experienced this. I'm not the only one that went through something similar, that I'm not crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and yeah. I don't know how to end it, so I guess I'll just end it with like a have a great day. Yeah.